Welcome back into the Ohio State Football Report. Tom Downey here. We did the offensive news buzz updates earlier last week, I should say. We're doing defense this week. So with that in mind, grade the Ohio State defense as of right now. Is it an A, a B, C, D? Are you panicking, giving it an F? You can factor in coaching here if you so choose. Sound off in the comments of today's show. We're going to begin with the potential instant impact of the five-star true freshman Devin Sanchez. And while a Jeremiah Smith impact is probably unfair to ask of any freshman these days, I do think Sanchez gives the best chance for that instant impact, a notable impact for the Buckeyes in year one. Five-star corner, the number one ranked corner in the 2025 class. 8th ranked overall player, the number 4 player in the state of Texas. I think it'd be a good thing if Devin Sanchez could kind of carve out a role and make his way onto the starting lineup for Ohio State. We're going to come back to the nickel conversation more in depth in a little bit on today's show, but Davison Igbinosun is locked into one starting spot and hopefully can cut down on the penalties. I think Germaine Matthews, as we'll get into, underrated player. Lorenzo Styles seems to be the favorite for nickel over Bryce West, but I fully anticipate a strong showing from Devin Sanchez in the fall to be the type of young player that you're having a tough time finding reasons why he shouldn't be on the field, especially if we ignore, seniority and whatnot. His job this upcoming fall, which is really kind of more summer, but whatever, is to make it tough for the Buckeyes coaching staff to keep him on the bench. To say, no, we don't want to play you. You're not good enough. Be like, he's so good, we have to find a way to do it, which isn't that far from what happened with Jeremiah Smith last year. Now, look, there's no guarantee that Devin Sanchez makes that caliber of impact, but I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that he can be everything I think we all think he can be, and I would also argue it's the ideal outcome for Ohio State, that Sanchez is so good, they just have to play him, that he's too good to not play, that he earns one of those top 3 corner spots. So by the end of the season, this is the pinned comment, by the way, on today's show, will Devin Sanchez take over as the starter for Ohio State? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments of today's show. Let's stick in corners, and I want to mention Germaine Matthews here, because I think one potential path for Devin Sanchez to earn some playing time is to slide Germaine Matthews into the nickel corner role, which there's been some buzz from On 3 that, maybe that's actually a possibility, that Lorenzo Styles ends up just not being the type of guy everyone was hoping for, and Mathews takes over at that nickel spot. And I'll say this too. I am excited about Germaine Matthews. He didn't play a ton last year. When he played, I thought there were moments that he was like the best corner on the team. Over Denzel Burke, over Igbinosun with all his penalties. Maybe hot take, but I think there were moments that looked like that. Lorenzo Styles didn't play a lot last year either. He's kind of bided his time, been patient to get his chance. This is his chance. I wonder if Bryce West is ready to take on a bigger role. He was a highly touted recruit too. Ohio State, that's kind of how it all goes for your top players, right? Top 65 recruit back in the 2024 class. He could end up being a long-term piece since this is going to be Igbinosun's last year, and Styles is probably going to be gone after this year as well. I think Germaine Matthews is underrated. I think he's highly underrated. I think by the end of the year, there is a chance he ends up pushing to be the best cornerback on the Buckeyes roster this upcoming season. We talk about this more like offensive line of play your best 5. I think corner this applies too. Play your best 3, especially if you've got multiple potential nickel options. And if that means it ends up being Igbinosun on the outside and Santos on the outside and Matthews in the nickel, or even in base packages, it's Igbinosun and Matthews, and Santos is the third corner who goes outside and Matthews kicks inside, that's fine. Actually, it's probably a good thing for Matthews' NFL career to showcase he can do both. I just want to play your best 3, and I do trust this coaching staff to play the best 3, regardless of how old they are. This Ohio State National Championship pennant is still on clearance, 58.5% off. Chatsports.com/OSU flag. I know it's a pennant, not a flag. Those are technically different things, but flag is easier for people to spell out, so I made that the short link there. It's on Fanatics. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Chatsports.com/OSU flag. Let's hit Beau Atkinson here. On 3, Spencer Holbrook reporting that there's been plenty of hype and buzz around Atkinson in the building for the Buckeyes, which I don't think is a surprise. I don't think the Buckeyes thought he was going to be available. I think when he got open, like, go get him. Go get that edge rushing option. I thought Atkinson, for a UNC team that wasn't that good last year, for being honest, didn't have the national attention that other teams did for valid reasons. 12 TFLs, 7.5 sacks. In 13 games, mind you, I would happily sign up for that production in his first year with Ohio State. 13 games, what happens in playoff stuff. You get that, you got to feel really good about it. I think that there are enough options here to cobble together a solid edge rushing group, even if I have some concerns about the defensive tackle room, and even if it might not be as good immediately as the JTT and Jack Sawyer combination. But I think Beau Atkinson is going to have a good year. I think Kenyatta Jackson is primed for a step forward. I think Caden Curry is a good rotational depth piece. I am excited about CJ Hicks and his role with former 5-star recruit. Like, does he make that kind of outside linebacker edge hybrid transition properly? Also, talk about linebacker, frees up some snaps there. I think Logan George shouldn't be overlooked. And I think Zion Grady long-term is going to be a fun piece. But that's 5 guys you can play. Are they going to be, top 70 picks like, JTT was? No. But they can be good players for you, and that matters. So predictions. Who leads Ohio State in sacks this upcoming season? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Let's talk, about the linebacker room here. On 3, also had praise for them here. And just the status overall. And I think it's easier if I just relay what Spencer Holbrook wrote. The rumblings about the Ohio State linebackers match up with the eye test. Sonny Styles, Peyton Pierce, Arvell Reese, even Garrett Stover all look completely different. And folks are raving about the summer they've put together. I am really excited about that room this fall, especially Styles and Reese as the starters. To an extent, it's kind of Styles and Reese and then everybody else on the depth chart. I think Garrett Stover has done a good job of kind of reshaping his body. He's got one of the workout awards from last week I mentioned with Jeremiah Smith, the Dudes of the Week. I think Peyton Pierce is an intriguing piece beyond that. Howard gives them depth, special teams depth. Pettijohn, Alfred Lee are all intriguing younger players there. I want to mention one player on this list more in depth. And tying into that, who do you think is the best player right now on the Ohio State defense? And you can't pick Caleb Downs because that's the right answer. Beyond Caleb Downs, who is the best player right now on the Ohio State defense? My answer is Sonny Styles. I am extremely excited about him, and I think this is there can be an overlooked Ohio State defender given all the talent they had last year. I think that actually applies to Styles. I think there is some sneaky round 1 pick potential. This is a safety originally, turned linebacker, has the coverage skills, who can also blitz a pretty decent amount. Now, 16 games ends up being an NFL season, right? An NFL season, 100 tackles, 11 TFLs, 6 sacks, and 5 pass breakups. That's pretty good. That's a really good season. Maybe it drops a bit because Buckeyes might not play 16 games this year, but I think that Sonny Styles is a 3-way linebacker in the sense that he can stop the run, cover, and blitz. He's got that ability, and I think that stuff is incredibly impactful for a Buckeyes defense that's replacing so much, needs to have someone emerge as that superstar caliber player beyond just Caleb Downs. Speaking of safeties, on 3 reporting, Malik Hartford and Jaylen McClain have bulked up since they arrived at Ohio State. The note from On 3 is that Hartford is up 25 pounds since he arrived. This is the benefits of being with elite facilities and nutrition and training and everything. We're beyond the freshman 15, but it's also a good freshman 15. It's not like I can go out and add 25 pounds in a couple months in a year if I wanted to. Some say I already have. But it's good weight in this case. I do think Hartford has the slight edge right now over McClain for that other starting spot. Fall camp will matter. Words are hard sometimes, apparently. But I give the slight edge to Hartford. And the benefit is you're playing alongside Caleb Downs, who's a superstar safety. Regardless of who wins that job, if there's a committee or a rotation, both guys are primed to be more impactful and have a breakout season in 2025.